There is no partner out there who has everything you want. It's a lie.
Yes,
You have more
yes,
chance of
when it
finding
comes to
true
that-
love where you are broke.
Let me say shout out to wifey and like seriously.
Hey, get it, mama. I see the way your wife is always supporting you on social media, man. If couples were like that, it would be really cool. It would be. And from my own experience, I realized that Christian girls, a lot of them do abort. They have some of the highest rates. Yes, a Christian girl. Why? Because they are for most African countries to advance, they would need dictators, strong leaders. Proof of that is in the case of Rwanda. A lot of our music artists are scammers. That's where they get the capital. Even Jay-Z today is very well respected and as a legitimate businessman. All of that, he's a legit businessman now. But he himself started out as a drug dealer.
So what's your kind of girl? Let me just maybe you might watch it.
Very few girls get married when they're still virgins in this time. It's a fact. Hey, church sister, you already claim to be church sister, so now you dad, you don't carry belly, all that kind of thing. The problem with this one material stuff is, at that particular point, I was already rich. I had the money. Good. Anybody can be white material when you have the money already.
Yeah, when you're financially stable.
Everybody, people are sharp out here. Even in Douala, for instance, I see really young girls who are already very sexually active.
I would like to know, Emmanuel Tako, tell us about your personal, your relationship status. Are you dating? Any baby mama? Any wife? Any girlfriend?
I definitely don't have any baby mama. I'm not married. As a girlfriend, I would say I don't have any girlfriend. I would say I have a couple of people in my life whom there's nothing serious, there's nothing at all, but I would say my eyes are on them and I'm exploring to see, okay, is this person worth having a relationship with? I'm just talking about it because I'm being real. I could very easily say I don't have anyone in my life, but the truth is there are a couple of people my eyes, yes, I'm considering.
Okay.
My eyes are on, but for now, because I'm more of the kind of person who takes his time before getting into anything. I don't rush into anything.
Okay.
I don't like regrets. I like to think well before making any decisions. So for now, I'm not into any relationship for now.
Okay.
I'm more of observing to see if any of these people my eyes are on are worth it.
Okay.
Yeah, before going into anything.
Okay. Talking about relationships, I've been reading your article.
Yes.
And I must really say your writing is top notch.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Seriously, when I read your articles, sometimes I'm going to share with you some experiences in the background.
Okay.
Some articles that you wrote, and it was like you were writing my life experiences.
Right.
But with the right choice of words and the right flow. Like seriously, I'm very sincere about it. So I know you have explored a lot.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
I know you have tattoos. I know you like chilling around.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I know you like listening to music.
Yes.
Yeah. And I know you must have dated a good number of girls in the past.
Yes.
So tell me about relationships. What do you have to say on that subject matter?
I think when it comes to relationships, I approach relationships differently now. Why? Because primarily because of the kind of experience I've had. Not necessarily bad experiences, but just because the more you engage in something at a particular point, you become more mature in it.
Yes.
You're not really moved when you just see appearances. Okay, like you see a beautiful girl, you see a handsome guy, but I must have that guy, I want to do that. No. At a certain point, you become much more matured, and you start looking at things differently. You start looking at things from a more stable, mature perspective.
Okay.
So you're seeing things more long term.
Yes.
This person I want to have something with, is this someone whom I would like to have a child with?
Good.
Because this is another very important aspect of relationships we tend to not take into consideration.
Yeah.
All of us, first and foremost, all of us as humans are growing. I think I wrote a post on Facebook like that. I said that one of the most complex aspects of relationship is the fact that every human is growing.
Exactly.
For instance, when you were 14 years old, your opinion of relationships were totally different from those of now.
Exactly.
Sorry. Like for instance, at the age of 14, there are no responsibilities.
Good.
Probably whatever girl you're getting involved in.
Just want any
Yes, the person, she's naive equally, and most often the girl is even far more naive than even the guy. Because the guy is most often the more experienced one, the older one, especially in this setting.
Yeah.
So you are not thinking, you're not thinking like, okay, what if we have a child? Is this the kind of person I want to have a child with? You're not thinking like, okay, is this wife material? Is this someone worth spending my life with? Is this someone who would make a great supportive system, a great support system? You're not thinking all of that. You're just thinking, wow, this person is fun. She always comes to our house to play. She's my sister's friend. She's my brother's friend. I like her because she's friendly, or she always gives me her food. She always buys me sweet. Bam.
That's it.
That's it. So it's a more naive. Your conception of relationships at that particular level is more naive. It's more sophisticated, and then you gradually start growing. And the teenage circle, let's say 16, 17, then you start having more sophisticated considerations. Okay, is this person really attractive?
Good.
Is this person, does this person, like, is there something in this person which attracts me? Is there something in this person which I find alluring? Is there something of that nature? And then by the time you're 21, 22, 23, you're much more sophisticated in that sector. Your conception is much more sophisticated. You're not thinking, wow, lifetime partner and all of that, especially girls, because for guys, even at the age of 22, 23, yeah, the guy still wants to explore more.
Yeah.
But for the guy, by now, our parents have already started intimating, whoa, finish there and finish there your degree and look for a life partner here. Yeah? So she has already started to think, oh, okay, let me start exploring, let me see if there are guys who are interesting, guys I would like to settle down with and all of that. But definitely we are all growing, so at different points you would look at relationships differently. And I personally think that it's I have friends who are of a lot of friends who are of the previous generations, and one of the things they most often tell me is that one of the things I've heard across the board with most of them is that, especially the ones who were really serious with life when they were the ones who were hard working and all of that, one of the things, one of the regrets they voice is that I wish I had more fun when I was younger.
Because they want to have that attitude.
Yeah. One told me I wish I had more fun when I was younger. Why? Because I was taking life too serious when I was younger, whereas there is more than enough time to be serious with life.
Later on.
Trust me, by the time you're 35, 36, 37, most of your friends will no longer want to hang out, just be playing life anyhow. Yeah.
Party.
They would have ever beyond all of that. At that point, they would be thinking more, how do I take care of my children? How do I be a good father? All of that. Their thoughts are much more advanced. So if you don't do all these things, at that particular point, you start regretting. So it's always good to live every stage of life. It's always good to live every stage of life. But now, if we say that it's always good to live every stage of life, the problem then is, when then is the right time to go into relationships and all of that? I think maybe around 18 for me it's cool, because at least then you're at least mature enough to know your left from your right as far as that aspect is concerned. You're mature enough to reason on your own, to know certain things, and I think in this regard, especially in the kind of world we are living in now, parents should properly, and this is very important, parents should properly drill their children on what relationships are about, on what sex education is all about, all these things, because if you don't tell them, someone out there will tell them.
And they might miseducate
yes, they might miseducate them. You see, whereas, okay, take for instance, when I was in lower six, I remember when one of our teachers was talking on sex education, he was telling us about condoms.
Yes.
whenever he started talking like that, some of my Christian friends, some who, especially the girls, some who come from really this kind of Christian home, they will always complain that yes, there was a time when they reported him to the principal that this man is always coming with some kind of weird ideas into class. Whereas
he was trying to help them.
Yes, what he was trying to help them. He was basically trying to tell them, okay, this is what a condom is. This is how you use a condom. This is this. It's always good to know these things.
Exactly.
Why? Because you might be in a situation where you might need them.
Exactly. It might come in very handy.
Yes. Because at the end of the day, some of these Christian girls, they end up, they're the first to have unwanted pregnancy because nobody drilled them that, okay, this thing is this thing is this. Nobody drilled them. At the end of the day, maybe she falls in love. She was not reasoning properly at that point in time. Bam, the guy impregnated. Yes, voila. And from my own experience, I realized that Christian girls, a lot of them do abort. They have some of the highest rates. Yes, are Christian girls. Why? Because they are the ones who have the highest reasons to hide the fact that they are pregnant. They don't want, because it will be some sort of a disgrace on them and their family, an abomination. How would they be looked at in their church? How would they be looked at? Hey, church sister, you already claim to be church sister, so now eat that, you don't carry belly, all that kind of thing. And all these things, they come because this girl was not properly drilled on sex education. If she was properly drilled, she would have understood that we are all humans at the end of the day. We can all make mistakes. And if it happens that at the point I'm weak and I cannot control it, this is how to use a condom. This is how you go about this thing. This is how you go. I think Christian parents should look at this picture too and try to understand the times that we are in. Very few girls get married when they are still virgins in this time. It's a fact. Refusing that is choosing to live in some dark age or something. We are in the real world. We are in the modern age. This is real life. The films that we are watching, music that we listen to, and all of that, they are already, they expose us. They expose a whole lot of young people into this. Yes, want to adventure. Yes. So at the end of the day, these kids are already thinking of these things at a much younger age than the average people of the previous generations would. And so it's absolutely, from a really young age, it's absolutely necessary that they start being educated properly on sex education.
I think that is a word that I once found for the reality of our present day. They call it salaciousness, like the world we live in is more salacious. I'm going to put the definition of that word, which describes exactly the exposure we add to sexuality and sexual.
Yes. Then now, having taken all of that into consideration, I think relationships are first and foremost about really getting to know someone and finding out if, anyway, there are different kinds of relationships.
Yes.
And in this case, I'm talking of committed relationships which are going somewhere.
Exactly.
They are about really getting to know someone and finding out if this person is someone I would like to spend my life with and all of that. Because there are equally uncommitted relationships where maybe it's just about sex or any of that. Yeah. But I think if young people are really properly drilled on relationships, by the time they get into it, they would at least know their right from their left. They would at least know that this is the kind of person I should date and this is the kind of person I should not date. I should not date someone who does not really care about me. I should not date someone who is just all about, who just wants to sleep with me.
Exactly.
No, I should date someone who sees more in me than just a sexual object.
Good.
I should date someone who sees more in me than just a bank.
Good.
Someone you can get money from at any time.
Restaurant.
Yeah, a restaurant or a free pass. Or something. No, I should date someone who sees more beyond just interest. Someone who actually cares about me too and all of that. Obviously, all this come with time. And that's why I think it's always good to explore. At least by the time you want to settle down, you know that, okay, this is my left, this is my right. This is the kind of person I am. Like now, if I am to get married, I would know the kind of person I get married to.
So what's your kind of girl? Let me just tell you. Maybe she might watch it. Like seriously, and she might hit you up because your contacts will be in the description.
First and foremost, I'm more intellectually oriented.
Good.
I think my kind of girl would definitely have to be an intellectual.
Good. So you're attracted to the brains?
Yeah, I'm attracted to the brains. Not that I've never dated anyone who was not exceptionally bright or something. I have. And I've had some great relationships too with one of the relationships that I've enjoyed the most, ironically, was with someone who was not exactly what I would call really intelligent. I think
so
she
why
was.
would you prefer an intelligent girl now?
Why would I prefer an intelligent girl? Because I think we would flow.
Okay.
We would flow on the
You want
same.
somebody to vibrate at the same frequency.
Yeah, someone who vibrates at the same frequency. And besides even, I tend to really like. I am more intellectually oriented.
Okay.
So someone who is not that way might not find it. Like I've been around people who thought, why are you like this? You're always in your own kind of way, always too philosophical.
Yeah.
So I've been around those kind of cases. So I think such a person might not really enjoy being around me and all of that. Like this guy is always with books.
You yourself too, you don't enjoy being
Yeah, probably. But with this particular girl I was talking of, who was not actually exactly what I would call the intelligent type, what I loved about her was the fact that she was, despite the fact that she was not exactly very bright,
yeah.
she was very emotionally intelligent. Like she really understood me. You see, she could just look at me behaving a particular way and she would know that, okay, this is the problem, this is his issue. She really understood me.
Emotional intelligence.
She really understood.
Emotional maturity.
She really understood me. She understood my core. She really understood me. We really vibed in that sense. We really vibed. We could not have really intellectually sophisticated. And on my own part, I have understood at this point that there is no woman, there is no partner out there who has everything you want. It's a lie. So what I was trying to do, what I started trying to do was to make her read books, because I felt that, because when I looked at, in my own case, I come from a father who is a businessman and a mother who is a teacher.
Oh, okay.
So that gives me already a certain exposure.
Yes.
Especially coming from the side of my mother who is a teacher.
Exactly.
Business makes you really smart.
Yes.
Yeah, you know how to use your brain, you know how to be sharp and all of that. And then teaching side of my mother, it gives me that intellectuality. My mother exposed me to books when I was really young. See, I was reading when I was, by the age of 10, 11, I was reading a whole lot of books. I was really exposed to reading. So it gives me, just that environment alone, it gives me a certain orientation. And I felt that probably the reason why she's the way she is because she never had those kind of factors around her.
Yeah.
So I was trying my best to help her. I would always give her books and encourage her to read them, because I wanted her to develop her intellectuality.
Yes.
I was trying, because that's definitely, you should build your partner. You should want your partner to be better. You should want your partner to be better for themselves, to be better people. So I was always giving her books and all of that. Unfortunately, we did not end up together, but I still, even if I were to meet her anywhere, she would still appreciate everything I did for her while we were together, and I would still appreciate the role she played in my life. It was a great time. She really understood me. She was very supportive. She was the type who was very loyal. She would always be there.
Shout out to her.
She would always be there and all of that. And then even, ironically too, even some of my worst relationships have been with the people I thought were really smart and all of that. You know, the problem with people who are really smart is most of them they are interest driven. Most of them they are very interest driven. But that's understandable, because a smart person obviously would not just get into anything just for getting into it. A smart person would want something that they are benefiting. Yes, their personal interest. That's basically the definition of smart. A smart person.
That's why smart can be dangerous sometimes.
Yes. So it's a complex picture. It's a really complex picture. But at the end of the day, love should be, a relationship should be about, especially committed relationships.
Yeah.
It should be about love. It should be about mutuality, helping each other grow, supporting each other, and understanding. And preferably, it should be between people who really understand themselves, people who vibe on the same frequency. Yeah. So that's just it.
So you mentioned intelligence from a lady. I was expecting some other things. So with that one,
no. I like intelligence. I like beauty.
Good.
I like sexiness.
Good.
What else do I like? I like someone who is open-minded. I like someone who is cultivated, who is cultured.
Religious?
Huh?
Religious?
Religious? As to religious.
We're coming to
About
that topic.
as to religious. No, but this particular girl I was talking of, she was the religious type.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, she told me that we would not, she was a Pentecostal type, she told me that we would not have sex until marriage. And let me say something, let me add something. By then I was living in Buea. I was working at MTN at that point in time. And she would come to my house. In fact, we're practically living in the same house. Though she would come and go.
Yeah.
But there were times when she would spend a whole week in the house and all of that. And I appreciated her company because after work and all of that, I just wanted, she had this kind of comforting presence that I really liked about her. I mean, after all that heyday for work and all that stress, you know, a company like MTN is very, very stressful.
I can imagine.
It's stretching, competitive. You have to, the goals, they pay you well. When they pay you well, obviously you need to deliver. So it was really competitive. Coming to the house with someone, I could just feel like someone cared. Someone who was like home for me.
Yes.
She was actually like home. Someone who had a comforting presence, an understanding presence like that. I would just come. She had already prepared something for me to eat, arranged the bed, washed my clothes, everything. It was just cool. It was just.
That was the white material. That's how we call them, man.
Yeah, we could say more or less. But the problem with this white material stuff is, at that particular point, I was already rich. I had the money. Good. Anybody can be white material when you have the money already.
Yeah, when you're financially stable.
Everybody, people are sharp out here. So once they see that, okay, I can gain here, they can squeeze themselves to be whatever they think
that you want.
You see, so it's a complex picture. It's a complex picture. I think you have more chances of finding true love when you're broke than when you're.
That's my case.
Yes.
That's my case.
You have more chance of finding true love when you are broke.
Let me say shout out to wifey and like seriously.
Hey, good thing, Mama. I see the way your wife is always supporting you on social media, man. If couples were like that, it would be really cool. It would be really cool.
You find someone
better like that. Amen to that your prophecy. And then with this particular girl living, there was a particular point I wanted to mention about her. I used to have condoms in the house. Why? Because I'm a realistic person. Hey, two people love themselves and they are sleeping on the same bed. Something can happen. And your father is a pastor. Because my father is actually a pastor. So I was thinking, I definitely don't want you to get into trouble. I don't want you to end up
like to be an embarrassment.
Yeah, an embarrassment to your family. That's not. I would not like you to go through that experience because I actually cared about this girl. I don't want you to do. I don't want to do that to you, to your family, and all of that. I understand the picture. I don't want to cause any problem. Yes, but definitely, if she got pregnant for me, I would have been happy and all of that. But I did not want.
On
her part. And equally, she was a very church-minded girl. She was a choir. She was in a choir and all of that. How would she feel getting pregnant and all that? But for her, she did not mind. One day, I came to the house and I realized that she had taken all my condoms and flushed them in the toilet. And I'm like, yo, the both of us are in love and we're sleeping on the same bed. What if sex happens one day and you get pregnant? And she was like, what if sex happens one day and I get pregnant? And I'm like, but you know women are like that. When they're in love, they are very emotional. They tend to not.
Yeah, they think with their emotion.
Yeah, they think with their emotional. So probably at that point she was not considering it that much. But I very, 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 very well know that if she got pregnant at the end of the day, I think that she would have blamed me. She would have told me, you're very selfish, you're not taking into consideration. You know, women tend to be lightweight. Women are complex like that. So it's always, as a man, it's always good to think, make the rational decisions, and guide the way.
Exactly.
Yeah, do what is in the best interest of the both of you. Yes, because don't be selfish. Don't be selfish. Even if she allows you, even if she gives space for that, because she might just be doing it to please you at the end of the day.
Exactly.
But try to understand her, to understand her position, and do what is in your shared best interest. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty interesting, guys.
Yeah.
I think we have really explored a lot on relationships, and let's talk about Africa. What Africa is today, and what do you think is the way forward? What can the youth do? What can the people do?
Africa.
Make it better out of Africa.
With the case of Africa, it's been more than I believe it should be more than 50 years, because I believe majority of African countries started receiving independence around the 1960s. Yes, 1960s, the late 1950s and 1960s, early 1960s.
Yes.
I think more than 50 years after independence, we should start taking responsibility. Definitely, we should start taking responsibility, and we should stop always blaming our colonizers, our former colonial masters. Of course, I understand the fact that neo-colonialism too is a thing, and it's a very present reality.
Exactly.
But till you start, you see, in the jungle, the antelope can blame the lion forever of the fact that the lion is eating other animals. Yes, the antelope. But the fact is that will not help the antelope at the end of the day. You see, every country out here is doing what is in its best interest. If that best interest means colonizing you, your own country, if it means exploiting your own country, they will do it. So more than 50 years after independence, because this was actually a jungle, more or less.
Survival.
Yes, survival of the fittest. So after, more than 50 years after independence, these African countries ought to have started reasoning that it's time we start thinking of how to secure ourselves. If it is that being divided we are weaker, it's time for us to really come together, support ourselves. You see, it's time. It definitely starts with taking responsibility. The antelope should look for ways to secure itself and its family. It should understand that, hey, I'm in the jungle and I'm not the strongest. What can I do to secure myself and my family? Maybe I would have to move out of the jungle entirely. Maybe I would have to come together with other antelopes so that we can be stronger. Maybe I would have to look for a way to outsmart the lion. But maybe I would have to learn how to run faster than the lion. Maybe I would have to avoid where the lion most often is at. All these things, it's time we Africans should start thinking, we should start prioritizing ourselves. You see, all the African countries, almost all, I believe, are going through similar predicaments. Why? What is stopping them all from coming together and forming a united, a strong front?
Greed and selfishness.
Yes, greed and selfishness on the part of a lot of the leaders. And then maybe in the case of Gaddafi did a whole lot of things which were good for his country. Maybe because he was not loved by the West, we understand what happened at the end of the day. Stories started coming up that Gaddafi was a tyrant, blah 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 blah. There are other tyrants, in Africa. Who are doing worse? Why is it that it was Gaddafi who was suddenly the bad guy?
I would prefer a tyrant who forced development rather than
the fact is, for most African countries to advance, they would need dictators, strong leaders. Proof of that is in the case of Rwanda. And there is a rationale behind this thing. A whole lot of Africans, I would not like to say brainwashed, but they've been brainwashed, they've been colonized. Their masters are colonized. They are more loyal towards their colonizers than towards themselves.
Their slave masters.
Yes. They've been made to be more loyal towards their colonizers than towards themselves. They are more loyal towards their colonizers' culture than towards their own culture. They are more loyal towards their colonizers' religions than towards their own religions. They are more loyal towards their colonizers' ideologies and mentalities than towards their own mentalities. You see, it becomes problematic. It would take a really strong leader who would come in power and impose that we must return to our own. We must put our own first. We must ban some of these, we must favor local products by banning some of these imports and all of that. It will take some of a strong leader like that, and obviously when such a leader will be doing some of these things, he will not be loved by the West, because he will be doing what is not in their best interest. They will try to come up with some stories and all of that to demonize the guy. It would be now for the Africans to understand that, hey, this guy is fighting for my best interest. The reason why these other people, I think the people of Libya, if they understood that, they would not have fought against Gaddafi. Because, okay, see now Gaddafi is gone. What is the case? Yes, look at the case. So it was clear that Gaddafi was playing a very important role in Libya. His absence is seriously felt now.
They are regretting.
Yeah, they are regretting. A lot of them should be regretting. So definitely, at this point, it's time we start taking responsibility for where we are. It's time we definitely start taking responsibility for where we are, and we start looking for ways forward. And then another issue I would like to talk about concerning Africa's development is the fact that a whole lot of Africans, especially competent Africans, are choosing to migrate, are choosing to move out of the country. Yes, brain drain and all of that. They are choosing to live the American dream and all of that. And these are the educated folks, these are the competent folks, and all of that. Yes, they're most skillful. They are some of the greatest potentials Africa has. And they are choosing to go out, to go to the West, to chase brighter dreams, greener pastures, as we call it.
Can you blame them?
Can I blame them? I cannot exactly blame them, my brother. Because let's be realistic, a lot of our leaders are not creating the right atmosphere for these people to thrive. So it becomes problematic. It becomes problematic, especially for a smart person who sees all his or her potentials, sees how far him or her could go. Like I was talking with, there was a particular topic I and Mr. Otto B song. This guy is a mentor to me. He's a very good guy, by the way. Yeah, shout out, Baba. Shout out, Chief. I call him Chief.
Yeah.
I like the guy very much. He's been a great mentor to me. He's helped me in so many ways.
Wow.
Where I am now intellectually, he's played a great role in it. Where I am now at this stage of my development, he's contributed a whole lot of it, and I appreciate the man a whole lot because he's been very patient with helping me see things from different angles, grow and all of that. And when you have older folks, big brothers who are like that, who want to see the young grow, like I remember this time I posted something on social media. He had my number. He actually came to WhatsApp, called me, and we had an entire discussion about that, just on that post, where he was trying to properly drill me as the older person and as the person who has done business in Africa for much longer. He was trying to properly drill me based on what I posted, and he was trying to tell me, okay, this is that, this is where you went wrong, this is where you went wrong, and all of that. And over the years, he's always been there to guide me and all of that. So it's really good when older folks like that. That's, by the way, what I want to point out is we were having a discussion on a particular topic.
Okay.
And he told me that had it been that he was in another country, because he's an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And he made mention of something which is very pertinent and especially relevant to this conversation. He told me that if you were in another country, he will probably be 100 times far more successful than he is now. These are folks who chose to stay back.
Good.
He has the potential. He could have gone out and he would have been much more successful, but he chose to stay behind. So we were having that discussion, and he made mention to me that had it been he went out and stayed there, he would have been much more successful compared to what he is now. But these are folks who understand where the African society is at, and they're choosing to sacrifice and build this society. I think we would have to come to such a place where we start making such sacrifices. But I'm not saying that we do that from a weak position, because even he himself is not doing that from a weak position. You might have to go out there, nurture yourself when you're really strong. Like with some of the cases I see, you come back when you're really strong, when you know you can face some of these really serious hindrances, barriers that we have here. There maybe Westerners, even with this a tough ecosystem, Western businesses are still doing well here. How do they do it? Is it that they pay bribes? If they pay bribes, good. If that's how you are, my brother, as a businessman, I reason totally different. The truth is, when you're in the jungle,
do what you have to do to survive.
Do what you have to do to survive. If it's that, now this might not be ethical. I understand that, but in something
Rome, do what the Romans.
Now I'm not saying this is necessarily the picture, but rather than that, you should suffer because you were asked for some bribe or something. You should be flexible enough to understand that, okay, if this is how it works, cool and fine. I'll do that. But you understand that you are doing this, understanding that there is a bigger picture.
Yeah.
I have to survive.
Yeah.
So that yes, I have to survive. So
like committing murder in self-defense.
Yes, I have to survive so that I can nurture my other younger ones coming up. So that I can help them. So that I can be the strong one tomorrow. So that tomorrow when they are facing this kind of difficulties, I can defend them. The other day I was criticizing some of these American hip hop celebrities because they are not responsible with their music and all of that.
Yeah.
But
I read that.
yes, yes. But I respect the business moguls behind this. Batman, for instance, is someone I follow closely. You see, this guy grew up. He comes from an orphanage. He grew up in an orphanage. But look at what he's been able to build. Young money, cash money. He's been able to build all of that, and the guy's a billionaire. How did he establish it? He started out as a drug dealer. But he's been able. Why? Because you might criticize that. Oh, he started out as a drug dealer. That's terrible. But hey, understand this. He comes from a particular ecosystem, and in this ecosystem, there is serious discrimination. Blacks have to do what they have to do to survive. So at the end of the day, the average black who makes it out of the ghetto makes it out because they were dealing in some of these kind of things. The average, it's just like here now, a lot of our music artists are scammers. That's where they get the capital to invest. Yes, invest. You might criticize and all of that, but hey,
that's the reality.
That's the reality. That's the reality. So I'm not encouraging any of these things. I want to be clear about that. But I'm just talking about the reality. And I'm trying to bring that in our own context. Even Jay-Z today is very well respected and as a legitimate businessman, all of that. He's a legit businessman now. But he himself started out as a drug dealer. That's a fact. That's how he was able to get to a certain level where he could do legitimate business.
He was man enough to abandon the illegal pack.
Yes. So there are cases like that. You have to understand your ecosystem. You have to be smart enough to understand your ecosystem. And these are discussions which a lot of people know. These are things which a lot of people know, and they say them behind the scenes because they are not exactly political. You see, they are not exactly politically correct. But there are discussions people know, especially powerful people, and they discuss them behind the scenes. They know that this discussion, yes, they know that this is the reality. But I feel like if you have to bribe some of these people, so this was actually the point I was just trying. These other things were just aside. I was trying to draw this conclusion. Don't think bribery is wrong. Blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, this is what you have to do for your business to survive. This is what you have to do to develop Africa.
Especially hard work. Let's say pay them off.
Yes, pay them off. Yes, that's a better way to put it. If that is what it would take to build Africa and to push this continent, rather than to allow businesses to be crumbling like that, because the fact is, a lot of these are governments too are not really engaged to see businesses grow and all of that for one reason or the other. And I plead with them because at the end of the day, the reason why a lot of this corruption is going on in the country is because it begins with the governments themselves. They don't create a suitable ecosystem where these businesses, where things can move. It becomes really difficult. People who want to exist and grow in this ecosystem, people who want to survive in this ecosystem are obliged to do what they have to do to survive. In the US of A, for instance, you can say some of these blacks, they indulge in drug dealing and all of that. But hey, if that is what they have to do to survive, they will do it. At the end of the day, they have to survive. So the government should try to look into these things and create a suitable ecosystem for young people to develop. And then equally, I think education too, I made another post on this. I think education has a very important role to play in Africa's development. Our education so far is hugely limiting. We are trying to produce job seekers. We are still nurturing people with the mentality of graduate, go into the job market and look for a job. Graduate with good grades, go into the job market and look for a good. But hey, who are the ones who are going to create this job? Especially in a place like Africa where the ecosystem is not yet right for these businesses.
Exactly.
And all of that.
Out there, but
yes, not yet. He can work out there where the ecosystem is suitable, is already much more advanced. Yes.
Over there, but yeah, we need more
more job creators. We should be creating young people who are in our schools, of course. We should be creating young people who are able to survive in this ecosystem, who are able to create these opportunities, because that's how we are going to build our society. Who are able to build this society, who are able to survive in this ecosystem. When you are training someone with a mentality of going out there to look for a job, hey, let's be real. You are not training that person to survive in this ecosystem. When that person graduates, it is impending frustration for that person, because he or she will go out there with that formation of job seeking, will try to look for the job, will not see the job, because the job here are really scarce, because the job creators are really few. Obviously, by logic, the job here will be really scarce, and the competition will be really stiff. Very high competition. When such a person does not find that job, he is frustrated. The next thing you know, someone is crossing seas, the desert, to go to the west. In other cases, someone is maybe even doing everything she has to do or he has to do to go abroad to look for greener pastures. And that's how we are pushing a whole lot of our young talents and all of that out. These are resources that we should be using to build Africa. These are human resources that should be building Africa, making the continent develop. So our education is definitely playing a role too. That's a particular sector which can turn around Africa. I strongly believe in education. With education, we can do so much, because this is where the leader gets trained. This is where the businessman gets trained. This is where the entrepreneur gets trained. This is where practically everybody in society receives some degree of their training. So this particular machine, this particular area is a particular area where if we get it right,
yes,
it will just be a matter of time before we get Africa right. Definitely. It will just be a matter of time. We have to create an education which can foster people who will build this continent. Very, very important. Yes, very, very important.
Okay. So guys, I hope you are enjoying the show. You are enjoying such conversations and overflow of knowledge, and I might say wisdom. And do well to like the video. Go beneath the description box. You see the social media handles of Emmanuel Tako. You can follow him on Facebook so that you get to consume more of this overflow of knowledge. And we're going to take another short break, and when we come back, we'll be rounding up with some other topic, probably on religion and the youth. Stay tuned.